powered by Riverside FM.
Welcome back to Soulfire Sessions. I'm Lady Rise from Rise and Radiate Digital, joined by my co-hosts, Madam Amani and Devar. Also tonight, we have our guest, joined by self-love strategist herself, Sharia Jones-Harrington, author, peer recovery specialist, and boundary boss. She doesn't just talk about self-love, she teaches it in the trenches. And tonight, we're going there. Last week, we ignited your self-love fire. Now we're burning what smothers it. Excuses, shadows, and weak-ass boundaries. This session is hitting chapters 1 and 2 of the Self-Love Workbook, where shadow work begins at the mirror. So we're going to play a little game, the mirror and the match, to help you face your shadows and ignite your boundaries. So, of course, I have some acronyms to help you face the mirror and ignite your shadow work. So the first part of mirror and the match is the mirror, the shadow work. So I have an acronym to help you face the shadow and the mirror, and that is REFLECT. REFLECT. So first, I'll tell you how I reflect and face the mirror. I fuck. Yes. Oh, yes. I fuck. And it feels so good. Let me explain. If you want to write it down, go ahead and I'll give you a second to go ahead and grab your journal and you can fuck with me.
Immediately.
So, fuck. I face my shadows. Ask myself, what are you really avoiding? Unlearn the bullshit. What rules about self-love need burning? The true curse words. I can't. I'm broke. I'm sick. I'm not enough. That's cursing to me. Change it to, I'm working on it. I'm budgeting. I'm healing. I'm more than enough. And C, claim my power. Identify where my energy is leaking. Which chakra, which energy system? Is it my solar plexus? Digestive issues, stomach ulcers, fear of rejection, difficulty making decisions, low self-esteem? Or is it my root? Chronic fears or anxiety about survival or safety? Feeling disconnected? Financial instability or scarcity mindset? Lack of focus or difficulty completing tasks? Physical issues such as lower back pain or leg pain or digestive problems? That is a leaky root chakra. And then K, kickstart action. I set one small boundary today. Start setting boundaries. I can even start fucking and add the ing if I need to. Ignite my non-negotiables. My no is sacred. My peace is non-negotiable. N, nail my boundaries. What's one hard no that I'll practice this week? And G, go set shit on fire. Reflection without action is self-help bullshit. So, Madam Amani, fuck with me. How do you reflect?
Absolutely. So you are so strong. I definitely wore a mask like a badge of honor. It became a cage because when I needed help, I didn't know how to ask. When I was hurting, I didn't feel safe to show it. The mask became a performance, and it left me feeling emotionally isolated. The moment I recognized that strength isn't about pretending, but owning every part of myself, even the tender, messy parts, was the moment I began to reclaim my wholeness.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing because that false persona will drain you. What do you guys think? That's amazing. All right. Well, then, Devar, what about you? I know you want to fuck. How do you reflect?
Jesus.
For a minute, I thought we were on the Howard Stern show, but yeah. So I reflect by I say being a Gemini, I've always had the gift, or maybe it's a coping mechanism of adapting. I know how to read a room, sense energy, and show people the version of me that makes them most comfortable. That's not fake, it's survival. But the shadow side of that skill is people pleasing. When I focus too much on making others feel good, I disconnect from my own needs. Psychologically, people pleasing often comes from early reinforcement, learning that acceptance is earned, not unconditional. So we hustle for love, we perform for validation, but the more I do, the more I suppress my truth, and that drains me, not the mask itself, the constant maintenance of it all.
Oh, yes, trying to hold that up, that'll drain you more than just being yourself and letting it flow. My, yeah, that's amazing. I love how you reflect there. And what about you, SJ? I know you want to fuck. Tell us how you reflect.
I mean, so look here. Tonight's episode is definitely not about comfort, honey. It's about clarity. So let me be real clear. I fucks with you, girl. I do.
Yes.
I fucks with you. I and we do the same thing. I faced my shadows. I unlearned the bullshit, claimed my power, kickstarted my action, and I'm gonna go ahead and put an S on it. Okay, we fucks together. Okay,
Yes.
I started saying no.
Yes, that's
And
where it
so that
starts.
is how, that is where the majority of my self reflection comes from, is coming from looking at those spaces and places where I was saying yes when I really wanted to say no, and changing that shit. So,
Exactly. No with a period, a motherfucking period. Yes. So once you reflect, you need a match to burn through what holds you back. So the second part of Mirror and the Match is the match. We use the acronym SPARK to ignite your boundaries. So SPARK, spot what the excuse is. What story do you tell yourself to avoid the boundaries? I'll seem selfish, or I'm not good enough. Here's the lie. What hidden lie is hiding behind that match? Is it your worth? A, arm your truth. Flip it. Your worth is your peace. R, release. Release guilt. Name one guilt trip that you'll reject this week. And K, kindle action. What's one micro boundary to set? And so, Madam Amani, how do you spark your match?
Spotting the excuse is definitely the first step in breaking the cycle, so that you can set those boundaries, making sure that no is positive for you and not negative.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you have to just know that that's it. It's no matter who it hurts, whatever we're doing, it's going to make you feel better in the end. And so, Devar, how do you spark your match?
Uh, I keep myself moving, keep positive, make sure that I stay focused on my goals and remember my why. For the most part, remembering my why always gives me my spark to keep moving. So definitely that.
Yes, knowing your purpose, keeping your spark going. I love that. And SJ, how do you spark your match?
I think just by remembering why I wanted to light it up in the first place. I lost me. So just
Exactly.
remembering that I didn't want to go back to that, and jumping into action. I don't want to go back to who I was before, when I was all dim and shit.
It's, I'll
I
keep the
say let
spark
the
on.
sparkles go. Sparkle, sparkle, twinkle, twinkle.
Right.
Yes, I love that. Keep that spark under that ass because you remember where you were. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. So now that we've got our match lit, we have SJ Boundaries Boss. She's going to teach us how to burn those excuses for good. So once you see your shadows, boundaries are how you stop them from stealing your fire. So, yes, now we have SJ, the art of the hell no, Boundaries Boss. Yes, SJ, please tell us your story. How did you become the Boundaries Boss?
So quite honestly, the title or the moniker Boundaries Boss was just happened overnight, literally. I've been so many different versions of myself, but miraculously and prayerfully, all of those versions was trying to get to this spot right here. Where I am right now, I feel like my whole life has been really just a rehearsal for being right here in this moment, and now coming from a person who had no boundaries, who, those types of things, even feeling worthy of boundaries being taken away from me, to a person who is now teaching boundaries. Like that's some real shit to me.
That is amazing. Yes. Coming from the other side. And I think that's what all leads us here. Because that's how I got my name, Rise. It's like you come from something, you come out of something, and
Hmm.
it just sticks with you, help you rise, or a brand to help you lead others. I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then so the excuses, the lie, the too much, the avoidance, how does that play or how does that show up in a self love journey?
So I think to answer that, I need to go, I need to go a little bit into exactly what shadow work is. We have to be able to go back and see the patterns. And if we don't do that, we're going to repeat them. And so a lot of people are afraid of shadow work. We're afraid of our no. We weren't taught how to use it, it was taken away from us. And so, going back into the shadows and facing the self that you avoid is the first step in being
Oh,
able to
wow.
do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because that was
it is.
actually my next question. Yeah, I was saying, how does the shadow work make boundaries easier? Look at that. See,
How
y'all,
about that?
boundaries
How about
boss.
that?
Wow.
Ahead of
So
the
for my
curve.
co-host, did y'all have any questions?
I was just gonna say that shadow work is one of the most transformative inner healing tools available, and it fits perfectly within your Soulfire session. Um, so make sure that you use your voice for energy and definitely do the shadow work, bringing awareness, tracing those emotions, and reclaiming.
Exactly. Yes.
SJ, I definitely have some questions. Absolutely. I would say, what's one boundary that changed your life?
The one that I teach is coming out of saying yes when I really wanted to say no. It's
Absolutely.
what I teach right now. There was such a process in getting to that point because people pleasing is something that we were conditioned to do. It was something we were taught to do.
Hmm.
It was something that we were literally, told, this is how you survive this. If you please people, if you make people happy, then what's supposed to happen is that they're supposed to make you happy in return. And so, how that shows up as a kid is, if you're quiet, I'll give you this. If you do this, I'll give you that. But then we grow up and we go out into the real world and the math does not fucking math.
At all.
Right.
Exactly.
Confused, and we're thinking that we are at fault for that because we should know better. So what
Mm,
do? We try to shrink even more because maybe we're not doing it enough.
right.
What we did was enough at the house when we shrank. It got somebody off of us, but when we go out into the world, it's not enough. So what do? We shrink even more.
Hmm.
And you will
Exactly.
shrink till you get to the point where someone else is literally telling you what to do. Someone could ask you what you needed and what made you happy, but because you've never known how to make yourself happy, you won't be able to give them an answer.
Hmm.
And so
Exactly.
shadow work is an integral part of you being able to just realize who it is that you are. But a lot of people are afraid to go back. We're afraid, most people are afraid of the dark. So
Exactly.
that's why you're afraid to go back into the shadows. Your demons are back there.
What started your healing process? What caused you to want to start saying no? Like something had to happen to make that spark start.
My children. I never wanted as toxic, and I can go on, I'm on record as saying that, there's no reason that we want to have children that is not selfish and toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Because it all starts off
Exactly.
with I. You can't give the reason for why you had kids that don't start with I, because I want it.
Right.
And so, it was having my children, and my toxic, selfish reason for wanting to be a mom was strictly to just prove that my mom and my dad got it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's
Right.
crazy in
Ex-
hindsight. That's
Right.
exactly.
that's really crazy. We can make it sound as romanticized as we want to, but quite honestly, your reason for wanting to have children was selfish. And if you did, and if your children want to escape their childhood with you, then that's even worse. You brought them here to put them through the bullshit. And that's where
Yes.
most of us find ourselves. Somebody
Mm.
decided to bring us here to put us through the bullshit.
Right.
That cycle needed to change with me. So
Right.
the very promise that I made, even though it was toxic and it was selfish, I thank the Heavenly Father, Mother Nature, Karma, and everybody else that had a hand in it, that it went the way that it needed to go. Because it could have went way to the left. But the thing that
Mm.
sparked it was me wanting to be the last person in my family that had this story.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Break those
Period.
generational curses. Yes,
Period.
that's what we're doing.
I wanted to be the last person in my family, for my part of the family. I don't know about anybody else's part of the family, but for my
Hmm.
part of the family, I wanted to be the absolute last person that had this story.
Same.
That's
So,
I
in
amazing.
relate to
order
that
for
so
me to
much.
do for my kids, I had to do for me. I had to learn it, because if you cannot do it for yourself, you cannot do it for others. I don't care what you think, and I don't care what anybody told you. Whenever
Right.
I hear somebody say, well, I forgive other people, but I can't forgive myself. No, you haven't been forgiving other people. You've just been giving them a pass, and you've been avoiding that conflict because you cannot do something for yourself, for somebody else that you can't do for you. That's like saying, I know how to tie your shoes, but I don't know how to tie my own. Bitch, turn them around. What you
Right.
mean?
That's
That's
kind of
crazy.
like when I hear people say, "My kids come first," but in actuality, you come first because if you're not good, you can't make sure
You
that they
have
good.
to. You have to come
Exactly.
first.
Absolutely.
That's something that just sounds good. My kids
Right.
come first. Your kids should come first after you. Your kids
Right.
should come first before some dude that you picking or before some woman that you're letting into the thing. Your kids should come first, yes, when it comes to the things that you're taking care of, because it's no longer about you. If you just wanted it to be about you, then you stay childless.
Mm.
But now
Exactly.
that when you start making humans, when you start manufacturing people and coming up with your toxic, selfish ass reasons to do so,
Hmm.
yes,
Mm.
you are supposed to put your kids first. That's why you're supposed to be whole and healed before you become somebody's parent.
That's true.
Your
That's
work was
facts
supposed
right
to
there.
have been done before you had the kids so that you could put their needs first, because you already know that taking care of you is integral. But because most of us are growing up with our fucking kids, because a lot of us was babies having babies.
That's what I was just gonna
It's
say.
Most of
Babies
us
Period.
was
having
most
babies.
of us was definitely dumb as fuck having babies.
Hmm.
Only
Man.
going by
Look.
the example of the people who raised us, and they was fucked up,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And then
So
most
just
let's
because the
really
definitely.
talk
calendar,
about it.
they
You
tell you
know,
you're grown and to get out there and do it.
told you for 17 years that you wasn't old enough to make any decision on your own, and then when you turn 18, now you're supposed to know what you want to do for the rest of your life. Make that shit make sense.
Right.
And
Right.
get out.
Yep. I was
Exactly.
definitely a young parent and then years later a dumb parent. So absolutely. Yep.
Yes.
Hmm.
And so when you're growing up with your kid, and that's not to say it was impossible. I was 19, so it's not like I was far off. But I had to make it work because I'm stubborn above all. I'm Aquarian. I'm going to do what I say that I'm going to do. But I
Hmm.
did recognize very early on that it was going to start with me. It was going to start with me healing myself. My children are now 34 and 32.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
My
nice.
son will
Yes.
tell you any day that I'm not just his mom, I'm his life coach,
Right.
because I needed to heal myself. When my son comes to me for advice, whether it is about how he walks in this life or whether it is about the types of women he deals with in his life, I cannot come to him or my daughter with any type of bitterness towards anyone. So I couldn't
Mm.
That.
hold on to that because I knew
Mm.
what type of advice I wanted to give my kids. We have so much more control. over who we can become than we utilize. You
Right.
control the
Hmm.
stories that you tell your kids. You control all of that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's hard. It's
I wanted to be able to tell a certain type of story, true story, to my
hmm
children. So I made that shit true before I start talking about it.
Right.
Yeah, a lot of us women are definitely smiling on the outside, but like raging or exhausted on the inside, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Fighting the fucking air.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Trying to hold a
Trying to get your
persona.
lick
Trying to
back on
hold a
anybody that
persona.
you can get it back on. And a lot of times, unfortunately, you end up getting those licks out of your children.
Mhm.
mm.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
How do you
Wow.
handle SJ? How do you handle it when someone tries to guilt trip you into uh for your no?
I'm so completely immune to that at this point. How I used to handle it was I would give in because of course I wasn't taught, to do anything better. But like I said, when I now have to look at what is the story that I want to tell my daughter, because my daughter is the oldest. What do I want her to take out of this life? And so when I used to role play with her, and I used to role play with her the different things that dudes would say to her to try to get in her panties. And
Mhm.
she had to come up with the answer. And so the one that she would always get stuck on is no one will know. And she
Mm.
could never come up with the
Ooh.
thing. Everything else she had an answer, but she could never come up with the comeback for no one will know. And so I said, would you like me to give you the answer? You need some time to think about it. Sometimes she would say, I want to think about it, but it got to the point where she was like, I need you to give me the answer. And I told her, see, if your answer is really no, if the answer to the question being asked is really no, it don't fucking
You'll know.
matter who else will know,
Yeah,
because you'll
you'll know
know.
yourself.
Exactly.
If the
That
boundary is strong, if it's real, it won't matter that I won't know or that anybody you'll know, and you won't
Exactly.
be
Your
able to
conscience.
deal with it because I'm raising you to make conscious decisions about the type of person you want to be, not to make
hmm
me happy, but to make you happy. And
hmm
so that's how I don't handle it. I turn that
Right.
shit right back around on them. All of that. Well,
mm
if you loved me, you would do it. If you loved me, you wouldn't ask.
Ooh,
Mhm.
I love
That's
that.
powerful.
Say
Yes.
that.
Yes.
You just turn it whatever.
Exactly.
If anytime somebody tries to guilt you with something, you turn it. You
Mm-hmm.
turn exactly what they said to you against them.
Mm-hmm.
I thought we was better than that shit. So did I.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. You
Yes,
will
that is
know,
so
your body
powerful.
will remember, and your spirit will carry that weight. So it's those three things. So yep, that's powerful.
Yeah, so
Yes.
hmm
if you are ever in a situation where you can't think of what to say, just say what they just said.
Right.
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 Exactly. And put it
I
back. Oh,
miss
I
the
love
old
that.
you. Look, I miss the old you. I would if I was you too.
Mhm.
Right. Doing all that crazy
you
shit.
I
you
would miss the
you
old me if I was you too. Shit.
you
The
Mm-hmm.
dealing with
bitch
a
that
lot
used to
of
just say yes to everything. Yeah, yeah, I
Right.
right.
would too.
Exactly.
You dealing with a lot of unhealed people out here anyway when they trying to get in your pants or whatever because of the way that they came up or the way they was raised or whatever old uncle they had around them that was pushing them into it or the like as you said the nasty auntie,
Right.
it's
And it really
they
goes further than that. It really goes for it. It really, if you go back and you do your shadow work, it goes further than just the act, what
Mhm.
happened.
mm,
It's about the residual effect of it.
Mhm.
mm-hmm,
That's why I'm doing that series, Child Interrupted, because when you have that dirty auntie or that nasty uncle that does that, it's really interrupting your regular cycle. There's a time in all of our lives, age appropriately, where we're going to come up on situations where we're learning about different things age appropriately. So when you have a 3-year old that's being touched, you got a
mm-hmm,
5-year old that's being touched naturally, that's out of order. So that your growth is stunted right there because now you have to try to make sense of that.
Yep.
You have to try to
Interesting.
now navigate
And
in a world where your mother may be telling you that you need to keep your legs closed until you get older or you're fast, but you got her boyfriend that's opening your legs and you only 9 years old. And you got to
mm,
try to get, how does your brain even comprehend that?
Right.
mm-hmm.
Process
Child
that.
interrupted. So you're looking
And
for something different. So even that little boy that's gotten touched by the nasty auntie,
mm,
it's
you
more
don't
than
you don't
just what
understand it
happened.
at that age.
He doesn't
You really
understand
don't.
it. He doesn't understand anything that's happening. And so,
Mm,
depending on who he goes to, if he goes to anyone, but depending
right.
on who he goes to, that is a critical moment. Now, if he goes to another uncle, that's a drunk that nobody wants to. Shit, I wish Miss Auntie would put her titties in my face. It's
Mm-hmm.
almost like a little boy is being shamed for being uncomfortable with that behavior.
Right. If they
Mm-hmm.
don't
Because
do
if
it.
they go to a dude to ask about it, that dude got his own wishes of what he wished was happening to him. See how we project onto people? So
Hmm.
instead of
Mm-hmm.
protecting this little boy at the time and letting this little boy know that what just happened to him was wrong, the other men in his life have focused on the sexual gratification of it all, the instant physical release of it all, the feel good factor of it all. Don't focus on the discomfort of this has never happened to you before. This some old ass woman that's putting her saggy, stupid ass titties in your face, but just focus on the fact that some woman is putting titties in your face and it might not go that way later, youngster. And so it's almost encouraged. And so what
Mm-hmm.
do? You start chasing that as a man.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's all we know.
You
Definitely.
start chasing
Right.
that because that's the only value that you've been given about women.
Mm-hmm.
And it feels good. And because it
Mm,
feels good, you will overlook the fact that it shouldn't have been happening.
right.
So
And when you get older,
that's how boys and men are desensitized to the abuse that can happen to girls and to children and women. That's how it happens, by
yeah.
not being able to acknowledge that it happened to them.
And it tarnishes how important sex should be when you finally
Absolutely.
do start having it. So you start looking at it in a way that you don't respect it.
It's still a search. We're all still
Yeah.
searching. We're all still searching for the meanings of things. And
Mm-hmm.
so for as long as we're focusing just on the instant gratification of it, then we're not going to be focusing on the meaning. A man does absolutely, and Fox, you can speak to this. A man absolutely reaches a point. I don't care how much of a hound dog he has been. He reaches a point at some point where it's just empty. And he
Absolutely.
realizes that now that whatever he's been chasing isn't here. It isn't in this,
Mm-hmm.
because this doesn't even feel good anymore. This is
It's
now just
just
going through the motions.
instant
Exactly.
gratification.
It's the
And it's not
instant
filling your
gratification.
cup
It
completely.
wears
You're still
off.
lonely. You're still
It
lost.
wears off very quickly. So
Mhm.
you have to do your inner work. So for as long as you don't, you're going to be walking around just an empty shell.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
honestly, to me,
And
yeah,
so
honestly, for me,
it's some
it,
old ass empty shells walking around here. I got to tell you.
I
Right.
was
yeah,
one of those empty ass shells. That's why it was so
Hmm.
hard for me to trust, to love, you know what I'm saying, without guilt, because the one person that was supposed to care for me and love for me was the one that did that to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. And
it
it's
was
hard
mm-hmm,
to reconcile that. It's
hard.
Right.
very hard
mm-hmm,
to reconcile that, because usually that person is supposed to be protecting you from any of the other people that are trying to do. But here
Right,
you go, you opening the door.
Right.
right.
and
So
for
you're
me, it
yourself.
You
ruins
opening the door to
for
that.
me, it ruins the connection that you have with people and that you're supposed to have. You just looking for sex at that point, and that's pretty much that all that you know. And then once that's over, it's like you really not looking at that person the same. Like so, it kind of ruins the whole building the connection with somebody. So it takes time, and it takes time away from that to get over that.
Well, the deeper issue, Fox, is that it obliterates your connection with yourself.
Right.
So again, remember we just talked about you can't do anything with somebody else that you can't do with yourself. And so if you don't know how to connect to yourself, it will
Mm,
be impossible for you to connect with anyone else.
mm,
And so
mm.
if you don't take that time to get to know you, and that's what I mean, child interrupted, it stops right at that trauma. That's where
Mm.
that connection stops, is where that trauma started at. Even if you think that you've moved past it and you out here being a hound dog, you don't think that why has anything to do with the fact that you've been interrupted in that way. You
Yes.
just think that that's what men do. That's where the statement boys will be boys comes from. Boys will
Right.
be boys, and a man is going to do what a man is going to do. Those types of things that desensitize the fact that you actually have a choice, that there's nothing that you have to do simply because you're a man.
Right.
Especially when you got somebody like me where your dad is pushing you toward, and then all of his cousins and your uncles and
Exactly.
everybody's, boy, you better go do that.
Better
And
go do that. What you complaining for? What you scared about? You're shamed almost into becoming a part of the problem.
yeah,
Yes,
You're
or these
shamed
younger
into it.
kids start saying, "What are you, gay?" Just if you don't do that, guilt
right,
tripping you into
exactly.
it.
And so
Yes.
this is where we know, this is where boys understand and learn that their emotions are not safe,
Right,
that they're not safe, because if they do tell their boys or whomever it is, they're going to get ridiculed. And so they just
definitely.
stamp it down
Mm-hmm.
and they just become an island into
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so this is, I mean, if you just dare to go back, you can trace very easily where these patterns start, where these things started. But that takes being willing to go back into your shadows and facing the self that you try to avoid. See, there's something about you that you've been hiding up behind, that you've been pretending that you don't know about yourself.
Mm.
Mhm.
Exactly. Hmm.
It's something that you've been pretending that you don't know about yourself.
But
That
is it
stems from all
pretending?
of that. Yeah, it's pretending. You can pretend.
Yep.
Listen, denial. Remember, don't even notice I
Exactly.
am lying.
And
That's what
Mm.
distractions.
denial
Hmm.
means. So you might want to write that acronym down. Denial.
Right.
Don't
DENIAL. Don't
don't
Yes.
even
even know I
notice
am
I am
lying.
lying.
Oh my
Exactly.
God.
Yes.
And so, yes, there's a part of you that, you pretend and don't exist. Maybe there's some things that you like that you're ashamed that you like. So you
Mm.
just don't act like you don't.
It definitely becomes
Ooh,
a part of your bones.
Yes.
For real.
you said a mouthful then.
And
My
so, yes.
God.
So we have about 20 minutes here. So what I would like is for SJ Boundary Boss to go ahead and share one of her specific methods, her lessons here, and go ahead and teach us the Boundary Boss way. So what is a lesson or method that you can share your signature method with us tonight?
So I'm going to share uh, the beautiful burn with you. And this is
Nice.
about your boundaries. Okay. So, what I need you all to know is that boundaries don't burn people, they burn illusions. Illusions like, if I say no, they'll stop loving me. Or it's easier to avoid conflict than to be honest. See, those are illusions. Those are things that we tell ourselves because we're operating in our cowardice.
Mm.
And we've discussed before that the difference between cowardice and courage is that one of those things is the result of pushing through your fear, and the other one is just the result of allowing yourself to stay stuck in it. So we feed ourselves these illusions. Well, if I say no, they'll stop loving me. It's easier to avoid conflict than to just be honest. So boundaries burn those illusions. So, boundaries were my battle scars at first. I didn't grow up seeing them modeled. I saw sacrifice dressed up as strength. My mama struggled in struggle love, and I grew up looking for struggle love. And we have talked about before, love does not love you back. Love just wants to exist. That is
Right.
why love can exist in some of the most heinous situations. This is why you can have a headline of some 40-year-old teacher in love with a 13-year-old boy talking about I love him. Because see, love does not care where it exists. Love just wants to exist.
It's
So this is
Why it's
why
unconditional.
more
love can't
important that
rule you. This is why you
Mm-hmm.
have your brain, you have to rule you. This is why love can't rule you. Because it will have you doing things out of your character. It will have you doing things that you never thought that you would.
Mm-hmm.
It will have you hurting people just so that it can exist. Now, that may be a hard pill for some people to swallow, but drink some water, bitch, because there it is.
Exactly. Grab your tea, your water, because we're
Grab
in
your
here.
tea, grab whatever it is, because there it is. Love doesn't love you back.
mm,
That's why you're suffering in it. Misery loves company, love loves prisoners, and peace just wants to be left the fuck alone.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
that's
So,
why peace is more important in most
mhm.
cases.
But here's the thing, I had to learn the hard way that love without limits becomes labor. All of that loving somebody unconditionally, while all the while they have conditions for you.
Right.
Because, see, you've
That's
been
what I had to
shrinking,
learn.
remember? You've been
Mm-hmm.
shrinking, remember? You've been saying yes when you really want to say no, remember?
Mm-hmm.
Just to please them.
So the only one who's loving unconditionally is you.
Amen.
That's what I had to learn.
Because everyone else is imposing all of their conditions on you. So here's the truth. If you were taught that being good means being quiet, being agreeable, being low maintenance, then boundaries are automatically going to feel like a rebellion to you. It's going to feel like the wrong thing to do. And quite honestly, you damn right they are. They are a rebellion.
Mm,
They had to rebel against the bullshit.
Right.
You rebelling against the self-abandonment.
Yes.
See,
right.
people will make you think that getting up out of your prison is the wrong thing to do. And
Yep.
they'll label it as, well, you're just bitter. You're just mad. Well, fuck yeah. I have every right to be. People make
Exactly.
you actually feel bad about the emotions that they've created.
Right.
That guilt trip.
And
They want
because
you to
we're
stay
trying,
there.
and listen,
Mm-hmm.
and because we're trying so bad to get them to like us, we agree that that's a bad thing. No, yeah, it's a rebellion. I'm getting the fuck up out of here. No locked doors.
No
For
locked
real.
doors.
For
I'm
real.
getting the fuck up out of here. So I have the catch method that I'm going to teach you. Okay. I'm going to teach you the catch method. This is the catch method for saying no. For
Okay.
saying no. This is the catch method. This is your blueprint. Okay. So first, you're going to clarify what they really asking me. What's the real issue right here? You're going to make it real clear. You're going to clarify. Then you're going to acknowledge it, or you're going to have awareness. How does it affect me? Acknowledge how it affects you. They're going to ask you something. You're going to clarify what the ask is, and you're going to acknowledge the effect that doing it will have on you. Okay? Then you're going to be truthful with yourself. Tell yourself the truth. What do I really want? Do I really want to say yes, or do I fucking want to say no?
Mm.
You going to communicate your decision. You're going to communicate it clearly. And then you're going to hold that boundary. You're going to honor it. You're going to stand 10 toes down in it. How do I express this with some integrity? So that's the catch method. So anytime you're thinking about it, just go through the catch method. Clarify what the ask is. Acknowledge how it's going to affect you to do it. Trust your answer. Communicate your answer. And then honor your answer. So I'm going to ask you, what's one boundary that your soul is just begging you to set that your fears keep on stalling you out on?
For me, it's leaving the other job. I got to be able to just leap into my own entrepreneurship, trust the process, trust myself, and let that other mess go.
So put it
Uh,
to the catch method. Put it through the catch method.
Hmm.
Sure am.
Do
Thinking about
that
it right
tomorrow.
now.
Put it
Hmm.
straight through the catch method and just label that thing out. Fox, what about you?
One of my most uncomfortable truths is that I sometimes fear my own greatness. Not failure, but success. It's a wild paradox, right?
Well, here go the first thing. I ain't asked you about no uncomfortable truth, but I'm so happy that you just acknowledged that shit.
I mean, it's a fear. You
I
asked
got
about
you,
a.
but we're gonna go back to the question that I asked. Cause see, listen, let me show you how else it shows up. It shows up in dodging the fucking question. So let's go there.
Exactly.
What
Let's
is
back up.
one boundary that your soul has been begging you to set that your fear has kept you stalling in?
Hmm. I mean, it was walking away, but that's not a fear that I have anymore. It's not. It's a
Well, then
boundary
talk.
that I
Well,
have set.
how long was your soul begging you to set it?
About 15 years at
Yeah, I think
least.
we can safely talk about that shit.
Exactly. Time to heal. Time to pull it out and heal.
15 years that your soul been begging you to set it.
Yeah.
So now I
But
guess what we can ask is, how do you feel? You've set that boundary. You know, your soul was begging you to do it, and you have now done it. You were stalling, and I mean that's a long stall time. And so now that you've done it, how are you feeling now that you're sitting in that boundary?
I feel free. I feel more like myself. Like I said once before, I felt like a shell of a man, and I'm starting back to feel like myself. I'm gaining my confidence back, and I'm just living in my truth, like trying to be more honest about what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. So I try not to hide behind hurting somebody else's feelings anymore. Like it had to come out, and it
That is
was
always
inevitable.
and that is always the sign that you're doing your boundaries right. If you are feeling peaceful and free, because I understand that in the beginning it may still feel weird and you may still feel your own amount of guilt or whatever, but at the end of it, if you're still feeling fucking footloose and fancy free,
Hmm.
then you rock at fucking boundaries,
Right,
because that's how it's supposed to feel. You're not supposed to feel like you're anyone else's prisoner, and you're not supposed to feel like a prisoner in your own fog.
right.
And so you're
No,
doing boundaries right. Miss Madam Amani, what about you? What is one boundary that your soul has been begging you to set, but your fear just keeps on stalling?
I actually don't have it anymore because I worked really hard on it, but it was, wanting and yearning for that love that I was supposed to get from the person that molested me. You know what I mean? It was my father. I'm just going to put it out there. It was not even my father, my dad,
Hmm.
sperm donor, rather, you know,
mm,
um, feeling like I needed to have a man because he didn't give me the love that I needed, and not having boundaries because I just wanted it so bad. But, now I choose me, and that's where I am right now. I'm so happy with, the work that I've done for myself. I used to cry when I talked about it, but now I'm just so free with it. I feel great. But that was my fear. My soul was craving for me to find a way out of that.
Yes,
I'm
I
glad
feel
you
that.
did. I'm
Hmm.
glad you did. And so now that you found your way out of that, how are you feeling? How long did it take you, number one, to find your way out? And now that you have, how are you
43
feeling now?
years.
Right.
43 years. It took a long ass time because I felt like it was my fault for a long time. Um, and I just had to, tell myself it wasn't my fault. That was his shit. And um, it didn't have nothing to do with me. Like, I didn't even know, you
Absolutely
know,
not.
I didn't know that it was wrong because I was so young. So, and then the threats that came with it, well, if you tell anybody, I'm going to hurt them or whatnot. So, um, yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
I can imagine that it was a lot of work. It is so much work when you have to
Mm-hmm.
navigate through that type of trauma. Again, child interrupted. Like
Right.
there's just no other way. There I don't have another term for it. You know, it is, you are interrupted. Your growth is interrupted. Your development is interrupted. You are automatically thrust into a whole new world, and the lessons become very different. You are
Yes.
learning. If you are a survivor of childhood sexual abuse, the lessons that we learned were so different
Mm-hmm.
than the lessons that, people that weren't going through that particular thing, what,
Mm-hmm.
what
Right.
we were learning about, sex and intimacy was ridiculously skewed. But we were
Mm-hmm.
also getting to see a bird's eye view of people. We
Right.
were also seeing the back end of people, the
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
the back end of Miss Susie, who looked like the nice lunch lady over here, but who's really, snatching people in the back. You know what I'm saying? And so you can't expect, one of the reasons why I really pride myself on being able to talk to men as well, because you cannot expect that you have a little boy that things like that is happening to at the hands of women, and then act like we don't understand why there are grown men walking around with the disdain for women that they have, and the mistrust for
Exactly.
them, because they have learned another side to us.
Mm-hmm.
It's dirty
Exactly.
Learned
aunties
behavior.
just like it's dirty uncles. And so they've learned a different side. And so when we start talking about how we don't understand how they can feel it, if you lend a little bit of understanding to it, yes, you can. Every last one of us were going through the same thing, but we were
Right.
given a different message about what it means.
And see,
If
mine
we
happened to
became,
me at school. So then that made me not trust, people that I were supposed to trust when I was
yeah,
out
in
and about.
authority, people
Mm-hmm.
in authority, because most of the time it was people in authority that was taking advantage of us. So how are
Mm-hmm.
you supposed to now grow up and respect authority if everyone that has ever been in authority over you has been hurting you in some way?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You will not respect authority. You won't want any authority because you'll be afraid that you will become like what it is that you hate. And it's a 50-50 shot that you're right.
Yep.
Right.
If you don't take charge of that, if you don't take charge of that and get that lesson very, very early, you will go on to hurt other people. So it's very, very safe to say that the people that abused us and hurt us were abused as well. Hmm. So we have to be able, and that's just a whole nother level of healing. I've just reached a point to where I can almost say thank you, because I love every part of who I am right now, and that took a lot of work. And so the truth of the matter is that I have absolutely no clue if I would be in this space if those heinous things hadn't happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
So
I always say that too.
I'm now in a part of my healing, where I no longer need anybody else to pay for my pain.
Right.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to carry it, because a lot of you are carrying your own pain around because it ain't nobody else to pay for it. And if you got to be the one to pay for it, okay, as long as a payment is being made, and you
Right.
just walking around with your pain around your neck, on your chest, every time somebody asks, say hello to you, you spewing out your fucking life story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's
Like,
kind of funny for me, like when I walked away, the people that were really in my corner, they start coming out of the woodworks, like clapping their
probably clapping
hands.
with applause. Welcome
Right.
Yeah,
back,
like
Fox.
right,
Like,
like where
thank
you
you.
been?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
We missed you.
They
it
knew
took
where you
long. It
were.
took long enough.
They
Yeah.
did. They needed you to stop turning your back on the open door and the window
Mm-hmm.
because you was paying attention to the bars.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes all it takes is for you to do a 180.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Just do a 180 wherever you standing at. Just do a 180.
Just turn around and look. The door
Just
is wide open. All
give
you gotta do
yourself
is
a
walk
different.
through it.
Just give yourself a different view. You've been looking at the bars. Take a look at the door. The bitch ain't locked. No locked doors.
No locked doors.
You
No
done turned your
locked
back. You done
doors.
turned your back on the door and the window because you so busy looking at the prison walls,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
trying to figure out how to get through the brick.
Right.
Just do a 180, walk through.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
There are a lot of us, we're keeping ourselves in place. We didn't start off that way. So let's just pretend that you was today years old when you found out that somebody had been keeping you in a prison that you could have walked out of a long time ago. Let's
Yeah.
pretend
And
it.
now,
Let's just give ourselves just today. Let's say we didn't know yesterday. Let's all start off from today. Fresh start. How the fuck long are you gonna stand in the room?
Exactly.
hmm
How much
and,
longer?
and now for me, I'm only going where I'm not only appreciated but celebrated and not just tolerated. So,
Exactly. I feel that. Yes.
Look, I
'Cause-
might look through the window of that bitch too before I go in. Cause
right.
who in there?
n- no
Exactly.
locked doors.
Cause who in there?
Be cautious, huh?
I'm
Definitely.
still being cautious. Cause who's there?
Right.
Right.
Somebody might want to push my ass in the closet. No, thank
Right.
you.
Right.
Give us
We
us
we
free, bitch. Give us free. Just gonna walk around for a bit.
we not getting locked in places no
We
more.
can't. We can't do it. I
Yeah.
can't. Like I said, misery loves company. Love, love just wants to exist.
Hmm.
Love don't love
Hmm.
nobody, and peace just
Hmm.
wants to be left the fuck alone.
Left the fuck alone. Wow. Well, SJ, that was fucking fire. You just handed us the matches to burn every excuse standing between us and our boundaries. Now let's take that energy and forge it into something unbreakable. So here's your 3-step Soulfire method recap to lock in. So we have the Soulfire method, remember to fucking reflect and mirror check, burn the excuse and say no with Boundary Boss SJ's catch method, and name those lies, reframe it, fuel your yes. What freedom does this no protect? So our mini challenge this week, if fuck triggers you, please go ignite your soul fire methods and your catch method and fuck off all week. Make
Abs-
sure you
Not
ask a
fuck off
friend to
all week.
please do. Yes, I want all of us
Please and
fucking off
thanks.
all week. Yes.
Please and
And ask a
thanks.
friend to join you. Make sure you ask a friend to join you.
Expeditiously.
Yes, and I want you all to tag us, tag Soulfire Session, so we want to know your experience. And you can download this session right now and also your self love workbook. And so you can have that constant reminder on how to fuck off and reflect with zero shame. Link is in the bio. And so now it's time for our community fire. Fire off any questions you have about fucking. All right. And then for our co hosts and our guests here, did you have any final words? First, Madam Amani, any final words?
Absolutely. I just want to say the reason why I share is not for pity, but for power. Because some girl's listening right now, carrying silence that's killing her. And I need you to know your story is not your shame, it's your fire. And baby, you were never meant to burn quietly.
I love that. No. Yes. And what about you, Devar? Any final words?
Just keep sparking that flame, and we definitely want to make sure that we holding ground, standing our ground when it comes to those boundaries, and don't let nobody turn you into a people pleaser. And if you are a people pleaser, work on that. Get
Start
yourself
doing
out
that
of that.
shit.
No
Spark
locked
it up.
doors.
No locked
No
No
locked
doors.
locked
door.
doors.
And yes, finally, our self love strategist herself, Boundaries Boss. Any final words?
So yeah. So I just want to remind people that you're the only person that you can change on purpose. Other people changing for you is subjective to how they feel about you at the time, and vice versa. Your boundaries, you the only person that is responsible for protecting and enforcing your boundaries. Everybody else's job is to shoot their fucking shot. Right.
Exactly.
So don't
Yeah.
spend no more time complaining about people shooting their shot. That's what they supposed to do. They doing their job. Do yours. Defend your boundary. Set it first and then defend it.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Life will change
absolutely.
expeditiously.
Right.
Mhm.
Be feeling phenomenal. All right. So let's reignite today's breakthroughs and one blazing reminder. You faced your shadows in the mirror and learned how to fuck properly. Torch those weak ass excuses with SJ's, our boundaries boss. And now your no burns brighter than ever. The, these aren't just tools, they're your eternal flame starter kit. So if you healed a little bit tonight by fucking reflecting, we'd love to know. Please let us know. And send this to anyone who needs to fuck. And also next week we're tuning in we're turning sparks into sustainable flames. So I appreciate you all for fucking with us tonight. And make sure you subscribe so you never miss a spark.